Tune in to the Diva Hustle Show.
Hey, you guys, thanks for tuning in to the Diva Hustle Show. Today, our guest, welcome back, Brenda from Stellar PR Company. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me again. I really enjoyed our last conversation, so
I
thank you.
did too. Thank you. I enjoyed you as well. So, today we want to talk about AI. Let's get into it.
Yeah, well, what a great day to have our conversation. I've been working the news media all morning on Biden's executive order
Okay.
on AI that was issued today. And basically, they're very concerned about the safety issues around AI. And they want, all of our data, right, is up in the cloud. So
Mhm.
they want to put in some safety measures around how that's used, if it's breached. Yeah, so it's really that fascinating juncture
Mhm.
where they're like with when the internet first arrived, it was like the wild west,
Right,
right?
right.
And everyone was, and then the government kind of got wind of, well, we need to put some, fences around this and protect people, which is good, right? But now we're experiencing the same in AI.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so I mean, the intent is great, I think, but we don't want to have too many restrictions,
Right,
right? Because
right,
it's for good as well.
right. Because my thing is, what kind of restrictions can they put in with a computer? Like, I know when you're building a computer program, you can
Yeah.
program all the back end stuff, but will if the restriction will that limit the capacity of or the ability of the AI program? That's what I worry.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I had a really great media interview. It was this time last year,
Okay.
around what we call RAI. You've heard of GAI, right? Generative AI. Well, there's a thing called RAI, and it's responsible AI.
Okay.
And so there's all of these companies now that service big mortgage lenders, banks,
Hmm.
because they look at all of your data to let you know if you've got the loan or not,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
So they're depending, and the same with HR, right? They have AI going through people's resumes and making decisions about who to hire, who to fire, who to lay off. And it's the same with banks and insurance companies. They're using AI to help them determine who to issue loans to, who to insure.
Hmm.
And sometimes this information can be biased,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And AI can make mistakes.
Mm.
So let's just say you're denied a loan,
Hmm.
and they have to by law say why you were denied. But let's say that AI made an error,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so these are kind of the fences they're trying to put around it to protect consumers and other businesses, which is really good. But one of the other sides of this coin is we're not in a bubble, we're not in a vacuum here in the United States. Other countries are using AI and they
Right.
have different laws and regulations. In fact, the EU just came out with one back in August that was more punitive than the United States, and they tend to be a little bit strict in the EU. But the other part of this is that it's kind of like the space race, between us and China going to the moon and going to Mars. Well, it's the
Hmm.
same with AI. China has no restrictions. I mean, they're just going full bore, so it's kind of like a little nation state competition.
Okay.
And it's one of those things like with carbon tax,
Hmm.
China has historically has the most polluted, right, environment
Hmm.
because they don't have the government controls that we have.
Hmm.
But, they contribute to the world's climate.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to say the least.
Because I
So
seen, I'm sorry, go ahead.
it's about finding a balance, right?
Right.
To protect, but yet, leave it open enough for innovation.
I seen over the weekend, I'm guessing Google, Amazon, there's a bunch of companies that laid off. They're doing layoffs because AI is going to be replacing the jobs.
Yeah. It's I think what we're seeing this brave new world
Hmm.
where, I think there's going to be what we call economies of scale.
Hmm.
It can automate a lot of tasks, right? They don't need those analysts, searching for things. The AI can determine based on the data it's fed if you're qualified for a loan or not. But I
Hmm.
think what it will do is there'll be not a reduction in jobs, but a shift.
Okay.
It'll go to more creative positions, more strategic types of positions, that type of thing. I'm pretty excited about it because I think it'll democratize a lot of inequality
Okay.
worldwide, and it'll
Okay.
give opportunity to people who maybe didn't have opportunity before, to excel and be creative and to scale.
Hmm.
So, for instance, entrepreneurship,
Right.
right, is just going to explode because of this.
Right.
Because, I mean, you can use AI to build a business plan
Right.
and find the holes in your business plan and be more effective. So, I think there's going to be growing pains for sure,
Hmm.
but I think it's just we're coming into the age of AI. It's the same when we went from the industrial age, right,
Hmm.
into all those people working in factories got jobs doing other things in service industry and that type. So
And so my question is, can you share or do you know any women technology companies that are using AI and they're thriving and really making a difference in their business?
I have really great news around that.
Okay.
A lot of women have data science degrees, right? They come out of these universities with PhDs, and data science is the incubus for AI, right? It's really about data and data science, a lot of it. So there are many female founders and CEOs of AI companies, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, and I personally have represented two of them,
Okay.
and they've both been awarded top women in AI by VentureBeat. So
Wow.
VentureBeat recognizes them, and it's a very competitive field for women in terms of there's a lot of women in AI. It's very competitive for this award.
Wow.
So I think that people who have maybe felt that they can't be an entrepreneur or start their own business will be able to now because of AI. And I think that that means more opportunity, like I said, democratization
Mhm.
around the globe for people. Yeah,
And
for sure.
and and also what I'm starting to see, even when it comes to education, schools and colleges, they're starting to build programs and classes around how to work AI. Let's say you're in psychology or, you're in the fashion. They're starting to incorporate those classes as well, how to use AI.
Oh, yeah. And I think, like we talked about in our last chat, it's important to remember that it's just another tool in your tool belt, right? That you can leverage to help you um, build a startup or even scale,
Mhm.
right? And do things faster, better, and more successfully.
Yeah.
And getting back to our conversation, Stellar PR has a client called Seek,
Okay.
and they do AI for manufacturing. And the CEO of that company is a woman, Dr. Lisa Graham. So it's really going to be a real shift
Mhm.
around power structures and the way we used to do business and the way we're going to do business. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I told you I like AI. Even anybody starting off where before, you wanted a logo, you don't know how to design a logo. This person
Yeah.
was charge you X Y of dollars. You can just go into the AI logo app or website and tell them what your field is, put some keywords, and they'll generate logo for you. You know what I mean? If you need help with like a website, there's an AI that can help you design a website. So I feel like it removes a lot of the anxiety behind
Yes.
being an entrepreneur and the
Yeah.
barriers that we face. So I like it.
Yeah, I think we're going to see incredible things
Yeah.
because for me, I think people will be able to explore unlimited potential, not only around them, but within them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before they thought, well, this is too difficult. Well, with AI can be your assistant. So we're going to see amazing things. We're going to see amazing discoveries, incredible companies, inspirational
Mm-hmm.
um, projects. I'm really looking forward to it.
And so, what do you feel like are some common barriers that entrepreneurs may face when they start using AI?
Having built an Inc. 500 company myself, I think a lot of it is chance and luck, right? And being prepared so you can take those opportunities as they are presented to you. But with AI, I think the coin is flipped. You
Mm-hmm.
can create those opportunities now with the assistance of AI. And
Right.
AI can show you or tell you what areas you might not be looking at, right? So it's like this very old, wise, sage mentor that a lot of entrepreneurs didn't have before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very early on in the days of Gold Mine Software, I had experience at large corporations, Fortune 50 company, Fortune 10 company. So I learned a lot there and I was able to bring that to the table. And a lot of times something hadn't been done before. Nobody else in the world had ever done the things we were doing. So we were just kind of experimenting and finding our way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now with AI, you have a way of doing research, getting guidance, testing ideas, right? Before they even go into the market. It's
Mm-hmm.
really incredible.
Now, some people, I was talking to a friend, and he feels like AI is going to make us humans lazy. We're not going to use that one part of the brain to make us think because all we have to do now is just input it into the computer, and voila, our problems are solved. How do you feel
Yeah.
about
I have a really good analogy for that. So we started out on bicycles and horses, right?
that?
And you had to know how to ride a horse or ride a bicycle. Okay. So then they introduced a car, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the car did a lot more than a horse, but you still
Right.
had to know how to drive it, right? And people learned how to drive. So that was the internet. And
Mm-hmm.
now we have airplanes.
Yeah.
AI is like an airplane. So it still requires the human behind the wheel or behind the power sticks to prompt it, to devise ways to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just a matter of getting comfortable with it, learning how to use it, and experimenting with it on your own. But if anything, I think I'll have the reverse effect because when I use AI and I prompt it for results and I get a result that maybe isn't what I was thinking I was getting, I have to adapt, the prompt a bit. Yeah. So it makes me think more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, as a PR firm, what are some ways that you guys are starting to use AI in like business and growing your firm?
One of the ways we're using it is to scale.
Okay.
So it's allowing us to free up our time to be more strategic and more creative. So,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, public relations seems glamorous on the outside, but there's a lot of, roll up your sleeves, daily media reports and coverage reports and share of voice reports.
Mm-hmm.
And an example of that is there's some few platforms out there that'll give you a share of voice report, what impact you're making. I
Mm-hmm.
did a little experiment and I did this in AI and it was amazing. It was so
Wow.
much more comprehensive. It looked at areas that I wouldn't have considered. And then once it generated this report, I asked it to create graphics for the
Wow.
data, and it just did it all in like 10 minutes. It was
Wow.
really insightful. So you can go deeper and you can scale faster with AI. So that's one way we're using it. Another way we use it is for research too.
Okay.
For instance, we had a client that was trying to get an op-ed into the Washington Post, right? So we were drafting that. So I ran it through the AI and I said, what optimize this for the Washington Post readership? And it changed it. It was really, really helpful. Right. So, I mean, I suppose you could go through volumes of op-eds from the Washington Post, you know, and see a pattern of what they're looking for or what gets published. But AI already does that. So it was able to modify it so it was, you know, just ideal.
And so what advice would you give to entrepreneurs that are entering the field or want to start a business, and are people out there in general that are hesitant about because of all the, I guess, what the government saying, like, you know, we had to put this in place with the AI, but they want to try it and don't really know if they should try it?
Yeah, I think that the government, it's like taxes, right? I think the government goes after the big fish, right? So they're
Yeah.
going to be looking for injustice around banking and loans and insurance and um, a credit card, right? That kind of thing. But as an individual or SMB or an entrepreneur, I don't think you have much to worry about. You know, this is for, you know, big, huge machines, you know, at the Fortune 100 level who are churning out this AI, you know, data based on their decision making. The same with, you know, hiring practices. But yeah, I think what's a great thing to do is I used to give webinars on PR and using AI. And I went on YouTube and there's a lot of great videos up there, people who are sharing their tips and their experience. So I would start there too, or TikTok. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's key. I mean, like I said, I know AI is new, and what I like about it is that you can sign up for any subscription, like even just free. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, if you like, oh, I don't know what to call my business, or create 30 days of content, social media content, and analyze
Right.
this and compare my competitors to, you know, once you prompt it right, you can get everything, and it makes your life so much easier.
So much better. And it frees up your time for doing things that AI can't do or that you don't want it to do. For instance, you know, just genuinely connecting with people, right? On social and growing your network. Those are all really important things for entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
Is making those connections in the business community. So it frees up more time to do those things.
Yeah. So, is there any, so besides the Biden, any want to put these regulations, any other things that came out during the new ruling that came out today for AI?
Um, no, it's just kind of a brave new world, and even the government and Congress are still finding their way, like in the early days of the internet. And a perfect example of this is Taylor Swift, right? With the deep fake video of her that was let loose on Twitter, and even Twitter stopped anyone from being able to search, I should say X,
Okay.
anyone from being able to search on her name or her account. So, you know, lawmakers, White House has asked Congress to do something about this. So it's really taken another level when you can create videos. You think it's a person and it's not,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
AI creating it. So we'll start to see more kind of, right, legislation around that, but it's really so new, you
Yeah.
know? They're
Yeah.
all trying to play catch up.
Yeah. I saw who, I can't remember what artist it was. And they're like, this is not me. And I was like, and I'm looking
Oh,
at the
yeah.
picture and I'm like, you, like, they look just like them. And I was like, wow, it's crazy.
Yeah. And it's going to get crazier. And I have a client that does video as a competitor to Zoom, right? And it's just so secure. that it
Mm.
cannot, the Department of Defense uses it. It's so secure.
Wow.
But if you're using something like Zoom, how do you know that that person is a real person that you're
Right.
talking to? Yeah,
Right.
it's that crazy. So we'll start to see more platforms like Cordonic that uses it so like Zoom, but it's more secure. So at least that way, when you're actually talking to someone, you know you're talking to the right person or
Yeah.
a person. You're
And
real,
even
right?
yeah, I'm real. Even like when I was joining the for our interview, I got this prompt on Zoom and it was like, oh, AI can sit and, interview, I guess listen to your interview and prompt questions if you need questions. And I was just like, and you have to enable it, of course, but I was just like, wow, like, okay, okay.
Well, they got into a lot of trouble last year. They changed their terms of service, saying
Okay.
that they were going to use AI to listen to conversations on Zoom to
Oh,
build a database, build a library, right, for that service you're talking about.
wow.
And it wasn't an opt out or something like that,
Mhm.
so these are the things the government's looking at, like, you
Yeah.
know, to protect our privacy, right? Who we
Yeah.
are, you know, and literally not just our personal information, but literally who we are,
Yeah. Yeah.
listening to conversations, that type of thing. So of course Zoom backtracked and said, "Oh, no, 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 we'll change it back." But they're so all of these vendors are trying to be so competitive with AI
Hmm.
that we need the government to step in and say, that's crossing the line, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it's along the lines of like with cookies, right? Because
Yes.
they're collecting information and then they're selling it. So that even got out of control.
Yep.
Um, so with AI coming in and you have a lot of companies that want to be the first one saying, hey, we got it, we got AI, you can use it, but there's no bubble around it or no control around it. It's kind of, yeah, it could be scary.
Yeah. And your instinct was right on when you saw that come up on Zoom, like, hey, wait a minute, and not not only that, it's valuable information, right?
Yeah, yes.
And so let's just say that you're okay with it, but that's very valuable information. They're making a lot of money off of listening to your conversations, right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah.
So if people want to get in contact with you, what's the best way, Brenda?
I like LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn. It's my first and last name, Brenda Christensen. And, that's probably the easiest way. I like to
Now, I
keep it
think
easy.
I'm sorry. Are you still doing the webinars on AI or are you stopped?
You know what? I was doing them about 9 months ago,
Okay.
and everyone at first it's really interesting. It wasn't so much that it was instructional as much as I was trying to lend a perspective onto
Okay.
what it all meant for our profession in public relations. And people were doodling with it and experimenting with it on their own. So more it was like a counseling
Okay.
session, like, is it safe to do this? Is it not safe? What have you found? So I stopped doing them because I was finding that people were just hockey sticking on their proficiencies with using AI. And
Okay.
it's kind of like anything else. Everyone uses it differently, right? In their own way, just like the phone or the internet. But I just kind of set a 10,000 foot view about, it's not scary. It can really help you. Here's some of the ways I've used it. And then we would just all meet up again the next week and
Mm-hmm.
we would go round robin and someone would say, well, I've been using it for this. So just sharing ideas and collaborating around it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for stopping past again today to talk about AI. Again, I feel like, it's a conversation that need to be talked about. You just see on
Yeah.
social media, you'll see the videos and people like, oh, do you want to grow your social media? But there's
Yeah.
never was to me an introduction of what AI is, what it can do, how it can help you. So just thanks for stopping past and talking about it to start the
Oh,
conversation.
of course. I'm happy to, and I hope it was helpful. And that's the key to it is, having conversations about it and collaborating because we're all in this together, right?
Yes, we sure are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Tune in to the Diva Hawks Show. Motivate the glow. We give you more info. Sleep to my head to toe. I let the whole world know. I let the whole world know.